What's up, guys? I'm back today with another Madden 23 video on the channel, and in today's video I am finally here with my big Madden 23 career mode series that I've been wanting to come out with. Now this series is going to be very focused on a storyline driven series. We aren't going to be doing any of the face of the franchise stuff, so none of those cutscenes, none of that stuff's going to be in here. This is a player I created through the franchise editor or through the franchise player creation, which gives you a lot more creation options than when you go into the editor, where you go to edit rosters, which is really weird, but I decided to go with this because it gives you tons of more options. You can't edit the player attributes, which is a little disappointing because I wanted to kind of mess with the ratings to make it different and also not give him an X factor, which is weird why you always end up getting an X factor if you're an undrafted player. I don't like it. I wish I could change it, but I can't. So you guys can see the little player creation right there, but it gives you a lot more options for player creation, so I ended up going with that option. But this is going to be a very focused, storyline-focused series where we are going to pretty much go through each episode, and hopefully at some point we'll make it all the way to maybe, Season 2, Season 3. We'll see how far we can get. My plan is to come up with this series probably once every 2 to 3, maybe even 4 weeks. A lot of storyline, a lot of content, a lot of creation is going to go in here. If you guys have any suggestions where you want to see the storyline go, leave them down in the comment section. I can definitely include those or kind of morph them into some of my ideas that I have. I'm probably going to record a couple episodes that are pre-recorded, so if you guys do comment on the first few episodes, I probably won't see it right away and won't be able to include some of those storylines if you guys have any suggestions. But yeah, that is what this series is going to be, going through the storyline of Chuck Delbert. I hope you guys are excited for this. I am super excited to get this series out for you guys and put this all together and just kind of see what crazy storylines and craziness we can come up with and make into a really fun and interesting series to watch. So hope you guys do enjoy and hope you guys are excited. If you guys are, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. The series is going to be a very in-depth series, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. And without further ado, I'm going to probably hop out of here pretty quickly, and you guys will see the introduction episode, which will be coming up next, and then we'll go through where we'll start playing some games, go into the preseason, and then into the regular season as well. So without further ado, I'm going to end this one off. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next episode. With the departure of Russell Wilson in the offseason, going from the Seattle Seahawks via trade to the Denver Broncos, getting Drew Lock, tons of picks back as well, they do have two quarterbacks left on the roster, Geno Smith and Drew Lock, competing for that QB1 spot. And unless you're Pete Carroll, everybody around the league believes that these may be backup caliber quarterbacks and the team is gunning for that #1 overall pick. But if you are Pete Carroll, you may actually believe that there are two #1 quarterbacks on this roster, but they may actually be quarterback twos. And throughout the organization, people were trying to convince Pete Carroll to bring in a third quarterback on the roster to compete with these other two quarterbacks and raise that level of competition in the quarterback room, and they finally were able to convince him to bring in a third quarterback to the roster, and that would be an undrafted quarterback out of ODU who may have a little bit of upside, lots of potential here, but who has not seen enough of the field to kind of get a gauge of what actual player they're bringing into the team, and that player that they're bringing in is none other than Chuck Delbert. Now, Chuck Delbert does have a lot of upside, really good scrambling ability, and in college and high school, he was able to hit some of those deep passes while being able to scramble out of the pocket. However, his freshman year was very, very excellent, had a great freshman year, and looked like that star quarterback who was going to develop and potentially make his run to the NFL. However, starting his sophomore season, he ended up running to an injury-riddled season. He was only able to get on the field for 2 games and really did not produce that much and was unable to play. Going into his junior season, was expected to make that big leap and comeback to be able to redeem himself from that sophomore slump and being able to finally get on the field for that junior year and hopefully be able to get back into that NFL draft pick conversation. However, he ended up starting his first 3 games that year and having a very rough start, starting with 2 touchdowns to 9 interceptions in those 3 games, losing all 3 of them. He ended up getting benched for his backup for the rest of the season and ended up not seeing the field that entire junior year. However, he was really pushed by his family to stay on the team and not transfer to another program and stay with ODU, graduate, and see where that year took him his senior year. And he ended up going into the year, getting another chance in training camp to compete for that #1 spot on the depth chart and see if he could get back on the field and potentially raise his stock and get back into the draft pick conversation. However, he ended up losing the competition to the backup quarterback who ended up starting the year before, and he ended up riding the bench for his entire senior year. Not the way he wanted to close out his college career, with 3 years of not really getting on the field and 1 phenomenal year in his freshman year. And that ended up leading him to be an undrafted quarterback into the offseason and into the regular season. And Pete Carroll decided to bring him in to be that QB #3 on the roster. Lots of upside, lots of potential, and a lot of star ability, but none of that ability has really been seen on the field in the past 3 seasons. So during training camp, during practices, he's really going to have to push to try to make his turn and try to make his push to be on the 53-man roster. There's no guarantee that this team needs to take 3 quarterbacks into the regular season. They could take 2 with Geno Smith and Drew Lock, and Chuck Delbert could be left off the roster again, and this is his one opportunity to make this dream a reality. That's exactly what Chuck did. He went out there, put in 110% during training camp and practices, and really tried to create that relationship in the few reps that he got with the wide receivers, the tight ends, and some of the other players on the team to really try to solidify his spot and get a chance to even be on the field during the preseason, because that was not even guaranteed as well. There was no guarantee that they could keep him on the team for the preseason game or even into the regular season. So he wanted to put in all that effort to make sure he at least got a chance to be on this team and see the field at least for 1 drive during that preseason game. And he went out and did amazing during training camp and practices and locked himself in for at least 1 preseason game, couple drives, whatever it ends up being in that preseason game #1. Chuck needed to go out there and put in 110% effort there, but he locked in that spot to be in that preseason game and get him a chance to at least show the coaches, show the NFL, and show the entire league what he is made of and what he can do on the field. He went out there in training camp and in practices and played amazing, showing off that he can get out of the pocket at times, hit a couple deep balls. While his deep accuracy is not amazing, he still has the potential to hit some of those plays like he did in college, and he really showed that ability to roll out of the pocket, get a couple running scrambles plays if he needed to, but also be able to stay in the pocket and hit some open wide receivers when he needed to, and really just kind of play where he needed to do and what the coaches needed him to do. And that's exactly what he went out there during training camp to do, and he did phenomenal and locked in his roster spot for the preseason game and to get him on the field for that game. And we'll have to see how he does in next episode in that first preseason game.